Hello ladies and gentlemen, Willie here. Today I want to talk about the state of the game ever since the pre-patch has arrived and just the amount of players that have come back in such a short space of time. And I'm going to start this off by saying something rather controversial. I actually think Blizzard have been doing a pretty good job at handling things since the pre-patch has arrived. It's not perfect, sure, but compared to how we've had Classic for the longest period of time, it is a big improvement, which may just be resulting from how little communication we've had for the longest period of time, so now it's started happening, it feels like a night and day difference. I will agree with that at least. But at the same time, we have many issues which are being brought up by the community that are being answered pretty quickly by Blizzard at this point in time. Remember that very brief period where you were able to invite people from different realms into dungeons or raids? And a day later, Blizzard confirmed, no, that's just a bug. Well, that's what I've been led to believe anyway. I've seen more than one tinfoil comment that they were just testing the waters to see how the community would react to it. Honestly, I don't think we'll be having a conversation about anything cross-realm related until Wrath of the Lich King, when we all get into that lovely argument of should LFG be in from launch or should it be in at all for that matter. Can't wait for that one. Honor gains in the pre-patch initially were clearly way too powerful. You were able to earn several pieces of epic gear in no time at all, and Blizzard nerfed it by a factor of 10, and then people said, well, that seems a bit over the top, when in reality it's not actually entirely far off how it was back in the day from what I've been able to see. The research I've done, I'll show you some video footage I found from the pre-patch back in the day as well, and you'd be surprised how little honor you were given then. But we do have a shorter pre-patch, so they have changed it, they've doubled it in fact, they've given us a sign of battle similar to how it works on retail, so now the epic gear is much more in reach again. Once again, they didn't have to do this, they could have just left it as is and said, nope, this is the game, this is how it was, this is accurate to back then, but they have boosted it up on top of the actual holiday weekend and doubled honor from honorable kills as well. So it's gone from being nerfed 10 times to increased by like 4 to 5 times around that mark. So essentially, if you put in some grind for PvP, you'll be able to get yourself some nice armor and weapons, which is fine because people of rank 14 have had such a long time to benefit from those. They've been able to buy their mounts with a little bit of gold and they're going to get their title moving forwards. Of course, there'll always be people unhappy that casuals have access to that gear now, but what can I say? History is repeating itself in that regard. And then we look at a bunch of the other changes Blizzard has decided to make, stopping the dungeon buffs being used in raids, stopping profession swapping with dual crafting and enchanting, the changes to drums and adding the tinnitus debuff so less people in your raid will need leatherworking if you are min-maxing, the actual content pacing and dividing up tier 4 and tier 5. I think there's been a lot of good decision making that's gone on, and I'm happy to see that given the sort of relaxation of no changes that these things have been happening. Of course then there's the microtransaction side, but I feel like that is a whole different track from what we've been seeing with the actual in-game changes, because those are to do with added value instead, but no doubt some people will see no changes has gone, therefore obviously that means microtransactions, which I don't agree with personally. Moving on though, as of the pre-patch, obviously the world is incredibly alive, as is the boosting scene for mages and paladins at the moment. Now honestly we could have always predicted this, and there will always be people who will boost no matter what scenario you give them. You could have given people a 1-week pre-patch or a 1-month pre-patch and exact same people would have boosted their characters through dungeons again and again. It really doesn't matter what time frame it is. There was a level 60 paladin about 12 hours after the server came up, and a shaman not much longer than that either, because that is how some people play the game. I myself have been leveling my Draenei shaman on my other channel which I use for streaming, which I'll link below, and I have to say the leveling XP changes get very noticeable after level 20 when they really start to kick in. In fact, before this launched, I thought one of the reasons the actual paid boost wouldn't be needed is because of these XP changes and so many more people coming back to the game. And I believe that has been largely true from what I've seen with the amount of people questing and so on and so forth. There is a lot of dungeon groups going, even though when you're searching for dungeon groups, mages tend to whisper you and say, do you want to buy it instead? But if you're a newer or returning player, you don't have the gold to throw at them. So I think it would have been an issue that solved itself. But hey, here we are. And I guess going on from the level boost, we have the paid boost. Have seen a lot, and I mean a lot, of people who have been boosting characters. I thought it'd be incredibly popular, but not to this extent. I've also seen so many of the mounts across the world, which kind of, I don't know, it runs a bit weird, to be honest. It stands out quite a bit from the other mounts as well. But you can see why Blizzard has decided to offer this service. The amount of people that have decided to jump on the train and just boost straight up to 58 has been huge. And with so many people coming back, some old features from Classic have started to come back as well. Queues and layering are returning, or have been in the process of returning. They were already being tested on the actual beta briefly, But now we're in the pre-patch, they're really getting into full swing, with some servers even seeing queues at peak time. I've seen pictures of Felina, Pyrewood Village, where I am had queues. Mankrik on the Horde PvE side looks like it's going to be an absolutely enormous realm, as all the Horde people who've decided they don't like PvP are crowding to that place at the moment. Not to mention layers, which again I've heard Mankrik has had up to 6. Pyrewood, where I am, has had up to 4 as well. You can get the Nova World Buffs add-on to see how many layers there are and which one you are on at the moment. Speaking of layers, it's going to be the final point in time when we have to really worry about getting world buffs with different layers. But for some reason, the world buffs aren't dropping cross-layer anymore, which was a change they made some time ago when they had layers, but it's just not happening anymore. So it's making getting world buffs incredibly annoying for these last few weeks when we have to worry about it. But even still, you should only be needing to get world buffs for this week if you're raiding, next week, and then a set of world buffs to go across the Dark Portal, because you should be able to use them in dungeons still up to level 63. All the various class changes have been super interesting to look at, and it just feels so nice, especially playing some of the hybrid classes that feel as though they've been pigeonholed into just healing, have their new competencies in tanking or dealing damage in various ways as well. One of the most interesting bit about MMORPGs, or just RPGs in general, is trying to figure out how to get the most out of your character. The road to min-maxing has always been very interesting for me, and it's something that can be taken away when you start the game already knowing what the min-max is, and you don't really have to put any of your brain work into it. It's already been done for you. So it's a very interesting period of time at the moment. Just to give a quick note about some of the class stuff as well, which I didn't mention in the previous video. If you summon a Felguard, you still need to go to the Demon Trainer and learn the Grimoires for them. They won't have them by default. Similar with Hunter training for your pets, you definitely want to go to your pet trainer, learn all the new stuff, untalent your pet, and then relearn the new stuff. You got some things like avoidance and cobra reflexes, which are just kind of really good for everyone, so I would recommend going and checking that out. Also, you can tame Ravagers at the moment, which are very good pets for TBC if you go over to Azure Isle. I think there's a few other places for them, but I've seen some level capped Ravagers already, so some people are pretty keen. Also, pet speed has been normalized, so use whatever you like really. It depends what your pet's abilities are, rather than their attack speed now. Also, PvP has gone from kinda dead after the honor changes to really popular at the moment. So it is currently a Arathi base in a holiday weekend. It was Eye of the Storm initially, which was definitely an oversight that should have seen coming, and they had to do a server reset to get it to the correct one, but now it is. And for Europe at the moment, for example, we had nearly 300 ABs going at once the other day, which is really good to see. Again, I think, and I always bring this up pretty much every time I mention PvP, pre-mating should have been nerfed. It should have been nerfed a year ago. They should have just lowered the amount of people you can go into a battleground with, like 4 or 5 for AB or 3 or 4 for Warsong Gulch, so it's a bit more spread out and it doesn't feel like half the games are just auto losses. Also, I've heard about people actually choosing to just pre-made an AFK in their base so that they can earn marks of honor as fast as possible, which again is kind of an unintended feature of how the game's worked. How if the best way to play the game is not to play the game, then the game's kind of not very good. But if you're farming the marks for the previous rank 11 mounts, then that's a pretty fast way to do it, isn't it, unfortunately? We'll have to see how this continues to play out into actual TBC. Battlegrounds will still be popular then because people want their offset gear for early seasons and so on and so forth. Finally, just to give it a quick mention, there is actually a pre-patch event in TBC. It takes literally about 5 minutes. If you head over to where the Dark Portal is, there'll be a quest there. You pick it up, they say go kill 6 invading Felguards, you kill them, you head back, and they give you a copy-paste tabard of the Argent Dawn, which when you click on it does some Holy Nova type effect. Head over there, get that done. It's a nice, easy one to pick up. The final thing to remark on is Classic Era. I'm not sure if any of you guys are particularly invested in them or plan to copy a character or perhaps just have a character who stays in them at the moment. At this point in time, it really is too early to say how they will end up being, because even if you are heavily invested in Classic Era at the moment, I think a lot of people will still want to play the pre-patch stuff and just experience the new things in TBC. But I went over there the other day just to have a quick look, and it was about as active as I thought it would have been. We'll give it a proper look a few months down the line as to how it's all playing out, whether Blizzard have done any more server merges, what their plans are with them, and potentially whether they will even consider doing a fresh classic following a successful launch of TBC, which is something they have said they will consider in the past. So I'll be keeping my eyes on that for sure. Final thing to mention is regarding add-ons and things. I know there's quite a lot of changes for BC because unlike your normal expansions, we aren't just going on and every single add-on gets updated. People who create add-ons need one version for Classic Era to remain there and another version for TBC. So I'll do an add-on update video soon to tell you what I've got and what I think is good and how you can get your hands on them as well. So expect that relatively soon once I've figured everything out. That's it though. Hope you guys are enjoying the pre-patch. Make the most of it because, hey, it's a short period of time, isn't it? And as always, thank you all so much for watching and listening in. And I'll see you all on the next one very soon.